Rubrik provides data security solutions to individuals, businesses worldwide. The company offers enterprise data protection, unstructured data protection, cloud data protection, SaaS data protection solutions, and identity provider services protection. So this is a cyber security stock. Perfect. And we have looked at this in the recent past. I do like, see how it's nice and flat up here? This market's trying to figure out, do we go up or down? So Rubrik is a cybersecurity stock, $18 billion market cap, revenues of just about $1 billion. So you're paying about 19 times revenue for the company. Not profitable yet, no big deal. Let's see what their fundamentals look like. This is a very nice growth rate, 43.89. They're knocking on the door of being $1 billion business, growing at last quarter. Look at that. The revenue is accelerating. They introduced themselves to the market. Customers are finding the product and they like the product. That's my conclusion on these numbers. That's the story that these numbers are telling me. That is the story that numbers are telling me there. Gross margins. Get out of the way, Starbucks, 22%. Are you kidding me? 78. That's what we're talking about. Why? Because this is a software product. Rubrik writes their code and a new customer shows up and says, hey, I want to buy 1,000 seats of your software because I have 1,000 employees. They go, perfect, sign here. This is where you're going to pay us. Go download your software over there. You don't even have to ship a physical product. They just download it and then they set it up. You give them instructions to do that. You give them some support. And now, will their servers need a little more horsepower? Yeah, but it's very affordable. It's almost like, yeah, of course they're going to consume more power because you have another customer putting 1,000 users on the platform. So it's very affordable to add incremental customers. That's a fantastic number. So we have two fantastic numbers: growth in the 40 some odd %, gross margins that are expanding into 78%. Looks good. They are cash flowing. Now the cash flow, so they're maturing, right? They're knocking on the door of $1 billion of revenue, and their free cash flow is beginning to take shape. Okay. Let's take a look at what forecasts are out there. 17 analysts are covering them. One analyst believes, hey, these guys are going to be worth $125 a share. Another analyst is like, you know what? I don't believe in these guys. Overall, they're priced fairly according to the analyst. The revenue is supposed to really continue to expand. There'll be a $2 billion business in 3 years, 2 years, closer to 2.5 years. That's really good growth. That's very, very good growth. So that looks really good. All right, so let's take a look at a valuation that I have for Rubrik. I thought I had a valuation. No problem. We can create a valuation. Did I type that wrong? Nope, it's not there. So last one I thought was good was Fortinet. So let's go to the zone of cybersecurity. Created Okta a little while ago. All right, so let's take a look at, we're going to build, and while I do this, would you mind looking at the charts on Rubrik?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
So it looks like they IPO'd in April of last year. Done very nicely since then, raising from about $37 to $94 at the moment. Let me go back to a 1-year chart. And they did have a breakout above a somewhat of a double or triple top here around May. They rose up to 103 or so, and then once they got back down here around June the 9th, they've really gone nowhere since that point. It's been consolidating for 3 months. You can tell that by the RSI being almost flat. The PPO had a bearish crossover in bullish territory about this peak. So from a sell signal perspective, that would have been something to start looking at, trimming. Since that point, we've gotten to about July and the PPO is just completely flat. The money flow is negative at the moment, despite being higher today by $3 a share, 4%. So that's what the 1 year chart. I don't know exactly what to expect unless they break out above this 103 price. Then they could run a bit higher. If it hits that and turns back around, then I'd be a lot more cautious.
Very good. So rubric, now, as I've mentioned before, there's certain numbers that stick out that compel me to really dig deep. When you have high revenue like this, and then you have high margins, I'm like, okay, this is worth the additional analysis, and that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at cash flow, and I've got the quarterly open just so I can look at each quarter and try to get. This is a really young business, right? Now, when you forecast, a lot of what we do is both art and science. There's the science part, mathematics, arithmetics, and so forth, data science, and so forth. But now I'm in the more art side. I'm looking at their quarterly. I'm seeing that they do have a little bit of a cyclical, kind of an annual seasonality kind of effect. I'm trying to make sense of it. Now, I do have a lot of experience in software, enterprise software. So what they call their Q2 ends July 31st. That's in the middle of the summer. And then we have the fall. This is around the Christmas time, ending January 31st. And then the spring, summer, fall, winter. So budgets tend to be released toward the end of the year. November tends to be when, hey, I've got budget to buy something for the next year. So they may be jumping on top of that. Like customers are switching over when the budget cycle begins for a corporation. Hey, I have dollars in my new year budget, so I want to buy your software rubric. So I'm see that seasonality. So that's fine. I'm going to take the trailing 12 months, these numbers, and that's going to be my starting point for free cash flow. That is 36.81, 78 million, 18 million, and negative 29.67. Now, the reason I'm doing that is when I go to the annual, trailing 12 months. No, that is correct. Okay, good. I could have sworn it was showing me a 38 previously, but I was wrong. Okay, so that looks good. So we've got good cash flow. We've got a negative forecast on earnings per share, so I can't use that. Let me just take a look at balance sheet. I'm pretty sure they're fine, but let's take a look. 762 million of cash, 364 million of debt, meaning they can write a big check and pay off debt immediately. They don't have any debt. So cash 762, debt is 364. All right, let's get cracking on evaluation. So I've got rubric in here. I'm going to a 9% discount rate because they're tiny and they're new, higher risk. Their competitors may not have seen them coming. Now their competitors are going to pay attention and go, who's this rubric company? Why are they taking my customers away? We got to start battling with these guys. So I'm going to go with their trailing 12 months cash flow, and I am going to, they're growing at 40%. So I'm going to grow that first number by 40%. And they're actually growing by 43, 44%. So that's going to be my starting point. Now, I'm not going to stay at 40. I'm going to go to 30. That is very achievable for a small business like this, but it's also a little conservative. It's lower than their growth rate. All right. So free cash flow, 762, and then 364 million. The shares outstanding, 193. So the cash flow hasn't quite matured enough for me to drive a valuation on rubric. Right now, they got to grow and they got to show me better fundamentals before I can go any higher. I'm going to delete this because they don't have earnings per share, so it would drive a zero. So this is where I can get to on rubric. Is it an investment worth making? For me, no. Reason for it is right now I really like Fortinet. It's discounted by 35%. I've made money on cybersecurity. I can make money on Fortinet. I made money on Zscaler. I saw Zscaler discounted. I bought it. The cybersecurity space is really competitive. It's not like, hey, Rubrik's going to be the best for the next 25 years. No, you go study the history and you'll see the leader 20 years ago is probably McAfee. And then 15 years ago was somebody else. Cisco is a big player, like way back when. And, the bad actors keep changing what the threats are to an organization enterprise. And then a new company gets created. Hey, we do better cybersecurity in the new way that we're using data and technology. So this one here is a pass for me. It's not valued high enough. I'd really have to stretch, like I'm growing this by 1.4. Let's let a couple more earnings come out. And if they exceed the expectations on free cash flow, if they really start showing that, hey, our margins are here to stay, our growth is here to stay, it might improve this. This is already a pretty, I think, objective and slightly optimistic forecast. And with that, I can't get to their stock price. So Rubrik is a pass. And the other thing that I would keep an eye on is, so Rubrik's doing well, most definitely. Their competitors aren't going to sit around and say, oh yeah, let's just let Rubrik keep growing. They're going to compete against these guys. They're going to take notice and say, how do we compete against these guys in a better way? The stock hasn't really moved in 3 months, 4 months. So maybe the market is thinking, hey, you know what? We're getting over our skis on this one. So those are my comments there, Ben 10. Hope you found that interesting. And some comments coming in. Yeah, Rubrik was good about it half a year ago. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. All right. So good stuff on Rubrik. Thank you so much, Ben 10, for the super chat. Thanks for bringing up Rubrik. It is an interesting company to cover. Thank you for watching my channel. It's been really fun and satisfying to have a channel for a couple of years. I've met a lot of great investors, and together we've really grown. And I wanted to offer you the opportunity to become a member of the channel. It'll give you more access to valuations, research, more access to more videos, the tools that I use, as well as being more connected with me, as well as other members of this channel. There's 4 different levels. Take a look and see if one of the levels is something you'd be interested in. I think you'll benefit from being involved, and I hope to see you soon on one of the member calls or on Discord.